It is Edo, and you're tuned in to Rolling Out.
Hey, Rolling Out family, welcome to Art and Culture. I'm your host, Eddie Precise Lamar. Today we're talking with Chicago-based multidisciplinary artist Edo, also known as Eddie Santana White. Through his brand Infinite Inception, Edo fuses painting, digital art, and fashion into vibrant expressions of hip-hop and truth. Ahead of his showcase at Jack Honey Art, Beats, and Lyrics on October 17th, we're diving into his creative vision and evolution. Edo, what's going on, brother?
What's up, brother? How you feeling?
Man, I'm excited to talk to you. You're bringing your work to Jack Honey Art, Beats, and Lyrics this year. What does being part of this nationally recognized showcase mean to you?
I've always been extremely intentional about collaborating and partnering with businesses, and what's the word I'm looking for? Doing projects where the platform can reach a lot of people. You know what I mean? As far as like my messages, I'm doing it with being able to showcase an exhibit at Art Beats and Lyrics. There's going to be so many people being able to see what's going on and the message that I'm trying to get out. So it's I'm very grateful to be able to be on a platform and share my message with more beautiful beings.
So your art spans painting, digital design, and fashion. How do
Yeah.
these mediums connect within your vision of Infinite Inception?
To me, it's every tier. The vision of what I'm doing is, I think of like household. You know what I mean? Like in each household, something of mine is there. So whether it's like a book bag that I designed, or whether it's a painting on your wall, or whether it's an activity book that I've created for your child, that's kind of how I view it. And that merges the fashion with the painting, with the illustrating. And also too, just wanting to make sure that I can reach everyone, each being, as far as their price point. When it comes to, I want it to be eligible or accessible for anyone. You might not be able to buy this 5-figure painting, but you can buy a $60 print, so you can still have some sort of artwork within the space, that infinite art within the space. So the passion and the purpose, I'm very intentional about making sure that my work is for everybody, and however you feel, however you want to be, whoever you want to be, is for you, and it can meet you where you are, no matter what you're trying to spend.
I hear you talking that talk. You got them five-figure works out there.
We did a little something, Eddie. We did a little something. I'm
So
grateful,
listen,
bro. I'm
I love,
grateful.
hey, that's what it is, man. And I love that confidence and a lot of that, and how you represent the culture. Hip hop culture plays a huge role in
Yes.
expression. How does music influence the colors,
Oh
energy,
man,
or flow of your pieces?
that's a whole hour-long conversation within itself. You know what I mean? Music, as in visual arts, is art to me. Certain sounds bring certain moods, certain colors to me, certain words. I did a piece a couple years ago, a Lauryn Hill piece titled "Everything Is Everything," because she's one of my favorite artists, and my older sisters put me on to her when I was young. But the cool thing is, with all of my works, I create a reference list. So like everything that's on this list is actually in the painting. You know what I mean? So with Everything Is Everything, the Lauryn Hill piece, it's like the cover art, but it's like within my style. And then you're supposed to listen to the album as you look at the piece, because you'll be able to find different hidden gems. So a lot of my work is heavily influenced by music. If I'm working on a piece where I'm the message within me is saying, well, I want the viewer to feel a bit of sadness, then I'll go to more ambient synth music. But if this piece is more of an upbeat, bright, then I need more of a hip hop, pop. It's extremely important. And now that you're saying that, like, now the question is interesting, because it kind of like opened that up for me, because I never really thought about it as deep, as far as music being like hand in hand when it comes to work that I've been creating. Like, I create playlists for pieces now. Like a certain piece that I'm working on, I'll just create a playlist for it. So it's actually very important. Now that I'm talking about it, it's quite
Hey,
pivotal.
music is so important. I love that you mentioned that it is art 100%. I mean,
Yeah.
and to
Yeah.
marry those two, you've created masterpieces. So
Thank you.
you cited influences like Hebrew, Brantley, and South
Yes.
Ali. What elements from their work have inspired your approach to surrealism and storytelling?
Well, Hebrew, he's homegrown. You know what I mean? He's from Chicago, and he's, to me, the blueprint of really taking it there. You know what I mean? Like seeing someone from the culture, from a place I'm from, it's extremely inspiring. You know what I mean? So I look to him a lot as far as like literally following his blueprint of reaching more people and getting the message out to more people and just really being everywhere to where it's not oversaturated with like, okay, I'm kind of tired of seeing it, but it's like it's refreshing and it's new every time. So when like Salvador Dali, that just it's interesting because the melted clocks and like all that, it bent my mind. I'm gonna be real quick with this. So when I started designing, it was all graphic. I started painting my style in October 2017. Like I'm 100% self-taught with everything that I do. But my style, people would be like, "Oh, well, this reminds me of this, and this reminds me of this person." But I wouldn't know the people because I was like so green that I went back to research and I was like, "Oh my god," you know what I mean? So like Salvador Dali, Cause, Matt Groening, the creator of The Simpsons. Like I went back and was like, my mind just was blown up even more because I fell in love with these artists, and that's kind of how I found the Hebrews and the Salvador Dalis and what have you. But I fell in love with art all over again. You know what I mean? So those guys, as far as like as far as Salvador Dali, for instance, just the melted clocks and seeing that, and knowing that it's painted, like that is. There's so many beautiful creatives in the world, you know what I mean? And it's just inspiring. You know what I mean? I'm ultimately just a vessel. I'm just a messenger here. I occupy this space and I'm grateful enough to do that and understand my place in it. But ultimately what I'm doing is about people. And I think most of the artists that I look to, what they're doing, it's them, but it's more so about people and how it impacts and affects people. Yeah, it's inspiring,
Yeah, for sure. You mentioned Hebrew being from the crib, being from Chicago. So shout
Yes.
out to that. Chicago is a city rich in artistic culture. So you'll see Flyboy on the wall,
Yes.
a
Yeah.
Picasso, in city.
Yes. Yes.
So,
Yes.
how is growing up and creating here in this city? How's that shaped you as an artist?
I would say this. It's both sides of it because when I was earlier on and coming up, when I was like designing for a lot of boutiques and stuff like that, in a sense Chicago can make you a bit calloused, you know what I mean? Because it's everybody's creative. Like you can walk outside and trip over somebody who's like amazing, you know what I mean? But I think when you cut through that and you're in certain places and certain rooms with creators and they're looking at you like, nah, like what you're doing is actually like impacting and affecting, and ultimately that's all I really want to do. You know what I mean? So being from a city where I can sit in the I think it's either Whole Foods or Mariano's and look at Hebrews work on a wall and just sit there for hours and be like, man, he's like, this is so inspiring. I'm constantly inspired every day.
Listen, Hebrew has this one piece at the Mariano outside, right? And so the piece with the kids that are across the wall, right? So
That's the piece.
there's this one girl in the middle. Why does I always feel like she mean mugging me every time I look
Like,
at that?
what you doing here? Yeah. I think, oh man, Hebrew, like he's really like one of those ones for me. And there's other like Chicago artists that are amazing that I view as goats, as mentors and things like that. That's been doing it, that's been like helping me, you know what I mean, guiding me. But I do like what I feel like Chicago in some extents can make you a bit callous. I personally feel that that's needed, you know what I mean? A bit of that energy, because you find out who you are when things get a bit uncomfortable for you. You get to see what do you really want to do it? Like, is it really of you? Are you really of it? So while I say what I said, it's also like I personally feel this it's a bit you need it. The saying, if you make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. I feel that same way for Chicago. I feel like if you make it here, you can go anywhere else in the world and you're gonna be amazing. Because it can be a bit gnarly out here sometimes, but it is what it is.
And
I love my
so,
city though. I love Chicago.
oh, so do I. So do I. So on October 17th, Our Beats and Lyrics pops up. So
Yes,
what can people expect from you on that day?
a lot of colors, a lot of objects, a lot of messaging. I'm really big on messaging and symbolism and things like that. So I'm gonna be showcasing some collage style works. What that means is like my pieces, my paintings, some of them are like silhouettes, so it'd be like a person, but then they have like a solid backdrop. And then I have my collage style pieces are where they're just the whole painting is just like all like it's just everything. It's covered in infinite art. So you're going to see a lot of colors, a lot of objects, a lot of love. You know what I'm saying? A lot of peace, a lot of joy, because that's ultimately my what I'm offering to the world through my pieces. Is just I'm trying to help heal, inspire, and bring joy to people. You know, and what's the cool thing about my work, I feel like, you know, it meets the person where you are, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, wherever you're at in that moment. You're gonna experience this piece, and you're gonna find something in it that you can relate to, and it consistently refreshes itself. So you can see something in it, walk away, come back, and it'll be a completely different thing that you see in it, and it consistently refreshes itself. And so that's what you're gonna really see from me. You're gonna see a lot of colors, a lot of meaningful symbolism, and things like that. And I know art is subjective. I know art is subjective. You know what I mean? So you're gonna see what you're gonna see. Ultimately.
What's one piece of advice you'd give to young artists who want to build their own career?
And this is, I guess this can be a bit of a cliche or whatever, but never stop dreaming. Protect your light with your life, and don't allow the outside world to dictate how you feel and how you maneuver through it. If there's something you really want to do that. You know what I mean? Like, don't be on one path and allow and have your soul be on a completely different path. Like, sometimes you got to sit in silence. Even as a young kid, you know, there's something that's in you that's pushing you to do something, and for some reason it won't get off of you. You know what I mean? Like, you can wake up and that thing is just, it's just sitting right there. You can wake up and you can look over and it's right there. Don't allow your own self limitations to stop you from chasing that feeling. You know, so go with your gut, and go into the unknown with faith instead of fear.
So looking ahead, how do you see your art evolving, and what can fans expect next from Edo and Infinite Inception?
Yes. Well, I'm very excited to say this out loud to another person outside of my team. So, Eddie Santana White, the artist Edo, is working on his first solo exhibition. This will be my first. Thank you, King. Thank you so much. My first solo exhibition. We're shooting. I'm getting all the works done now. They should be done like late November, and then we're going to start at the top of the year. Pushing forward with like promoting and putting it out there. But ultimately, that's like the next thing for me. The goal, the dream is worldwide, you know, infinite being worldwide, starting with like art schools around the world for at-risk youth, fostered youth, with galleries in there, with, you know, just giving them a space, giving them an open space to express themselves. You know, I grew up in a foster system, so, you know, I was a relatively quiet kid, and most of these kids, foster kids, are quiet. They don't really know how to talk about what they're feeling. You give them something to do as far as artistic, they'll express it through that. You know what I mean? So finding different ways to create spaces for youth, at-risk youth, to express themselves freely without being judged. And then ultimately, yeah, just Infinite Inception becoming a household name. And like I said earlier, whatever that may look like. So there's a poster in your house that I've done. There's your kid is watching the animation that I've helped create on TV. You have a rug of mine. You have a coffee mug of mine. Just a household name within that sense. You know, bringing joy and inspiration to households across the world. That's the ultimate goal/dream.
You just mentioned something that made my ears turn up. You mentioned you grew up in the foster system. How's that shaped
Yeah.
you as an artist?
Oh, it's shaped. It is. I used to look at it. I used to look at it as a handicap. You know, where, oh, woe was me, and blaming everybody for. As a grown person, blaming my childhood for where I was at as an adult human. You know what I mean? But once I realized that I had to take responsibility and accountability for who I was, you know what I mean? Still feel what I felt from how I grew up, but I can't keep using that to why I'm not where I want to, you know, ultimately be. Like I said, I was a quiet kid, so I would always be somewhere to myself creating. Mind you, I didn't know that this was what it was for me. You know what I mean? I just was more at peace being somewhere to the side, building something with my mind. Because in my head, that's where I live a lot, you know? So I'm building like all these crazy things. But then when I got to a place when I was like 19, 20, when art fell back into my lap, because like I said, when I was younger, I was more subconscious. But when I was 19 or 20, it became like I could actually do this. I'm going to do it. I was going to I am going to do it because nothing in the world makes me feel the way that this makes me feel. Like being able to take an idea and make it a physical thing, that's magic. Like that's alchemy. And we get to do it every day of our lives as creatives. We get to take our thoughts and ideas and make them a physical thing in this world. And once I aligned it with oh, but actually what I'm doing is for people, it was like, oh, my purpose is also aligned with my passion. So being a quiet, relatively, actually not even painfully shy kid, I would just create. What it did for me was it allowed me to be comfortable with being by myself. So when I grew up, I'm in my art studio and I'm just painting all day and night, that's just where I love to be. So you got to imagine COVID. I was like, oh well, I've already been home all the time, so I'm not really I've been at the crib, so I'm cool. I got a home studio because I like comfort like that. I get to wake up, go downstairs, and paint. So yeah, it shaped me in a way, but it also gave me tough skin too. So I don't really the no's that I've heard, I didn't really hear them. You know what I'm saying? I'm perspective based, so it's not about what you experience; it's how you choose to define that experience for you. That's what I kind of learned as I grew up, and but also being able to relate to foster kids because I do a lot of work with the foster organizations around Chicago. I started my own foster program. It's titled Infinite Youth, so I go to 3 different locations each month, and I do workshops with fostered kids. There's a relatability that I feel like I have because I was in 8 different homes in 2 years, so I can relate, and I genuinely just understand. There's nothing I haven't experienced, so they can't tell me anything that'll shock me. You know what I mean? So there's a relatability there that helps me build that bridge between them and growing and being able to see somebody who's experienced what you experience and figured it out. You know what I mean? So I want to be that light for them and be that being that I kind of wish I had when I was around their age. So it helped me a lot. But I definitely used to use it as a handicap for sure. But I flipped it on his head and turned it into a positive.
Yeah, I love that. And brother, you are definitely a light because I am not talking to that painfully shy kid right now, brother. I'm talking to somebody who knows exactly what they are here to do and get in action. Thank you, Edo, so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Seriously, I appreciate it. I'm very grateful.
Big thanks to Edo for joining us here on Arts and Culture. His story and passion for limitless creating is inspiring. Make sure to tap in with him at Jack Honey Art, Beats, and Lyrics on October 17th. This is your
Yes.
man, Eddie Precise Lamar. And as I always say, stay focused, positive, and productive. Peace.